It's a long way to the top. But if you take it step by step, you'll make it. Let's climb that VO ladder with our hosts, Troy Holden and Will Vincent.
Welcome back to the Voiceover Ladder. I'm Troy Holden here in beautiful, warmed up Nashville, Tennessee. And that is
Will Vincent in beautiful, warmed up Minnesota. We're having a thaw. It was like 45 today. It's crazy.
Holy smokes.
That's
it's
like
getting that time of year. It's getting that time of year. Will has invited and has a very special guest for us today.
That's right, because one of the things we've been talking about, not on the podcast yet, but it's planned, we're going to be podcasting about it, is organization and how that's important to your business and things you should organize, things you should do, how you should plan out your day and so forth. And I have managed to get a hold of Dani States, the founder of VoiceOver View, a fabulous tool for organizing your business, designed just for voiceover artists, and she's here to talk about that and herself. And welcome, Dani States.
Hey, it's nice to be here. Hi.
And the advantage that we have as we record the podcast is we're all able to see each other. So it kind of makes it nice during this COVID time where you're isolated and you don't get to see a lot of people. So it's nice for us too. We get to meet some new people. So I'm excited because my organization right now is a steno pad. That's pretty much how I'm doing things. So I'm really looking forward to this, I'll just tell you.
Well, that's good. Actually, I know some people that keep sticky notes, and those don't stick very long. So a steno pad, at least you've got, paper that's going to stick.
I write the date on the front when I start in the book, and when I'm done with it, I write the other date down there. And if I'm looking for something, I say it's got to be in this book because that happened in October or whatever. So, but it's more for notes. I'm not really organizing with it.
So let's take it back to the beginning. How did you get into voiceover? How long have you been doing it? And what's your journey looked like?
Voiceover for me started for about 10 minutes 20 plus years ago. I did a couple of radio ads here in Seattle and was told by the producer, wow, you're pretty good. And then I went, wow, cool. And went off and did other stuff for 20 plus years. So my actual voiceover journey, and I really do think it's a journey because you're really never there. So my actual voiceover journey started in January of 2014, and I had taken one class at a school in San Francisco and had gotten a little, the teeniest bit of training, and started auditioning on the pay-to-plays, and just one pay-to-play actually at the time. And the first day that I auditioned, or the second day that I auditioned, I booked something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the funny thing is thank God they bought my audition, because if they'd asked me to get on for a directed session, or if they'd asked me to do anything to my file, I would have been like, what? I don't know. But they bought my audition, gave me 5 stars for the job, and that literally started it. Because, once you get 5 stars, once you get a good review, then people think you're vetted.
Right.
I was not vetted.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. I still feel like that sometimes now. So, I had gotten laid off from my job, and I thought, I'm just going to try voiceover. I have 6 months to try voiceover. If I can do anything of substance in those 6 months while I have unemployment, then all right, I'll give it a go. And over the 6 months, the week that my unemployment ended, I got my first real job. I got my first big paycheck, I should say. And I was just like, okay, there we go. Well, that's how we're gonna do it. And so that's really the start of it. And then over the course of the last 7 years, and I cannot believe it's been 7 years. I'm amazed. Over the course of that time, I started building my business on one of the pay-to-plays, and then branched out to another one. And then pretty soon I had kind of a book of business and clients that were coming to me directly. And I was training the entire time, and I still train today. So I work with, the caliber of coaches that I work with are phenomenal. I work with a lot of people in LA, and some casting directors, not because they're going to cast me, but because they know what they're listening for. And so it helps me just hone my craft, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that's kind of the short story, if you can believe it.
It's really interesting to me how common a theme it seems to be of all the people that we talk to of, well, how'd you get into it? Well, I kind of dabbled a long time ago and then I lost my job and I had to do it because I didn't have anything else going on, or I figured I'd try it. It's interesting how much that's a common thread. Yeah.
I do have to say, so my husband was the catalyst for me, really. When our son was little, I read every book to him, and read the full Harry Potter series to him practically until he was too old to listen anymore. And did it all in character, did all of Dr. Seuss in character, and all of those books had their own sound, and every time it was the same. And my husband would be like, God, you should do animation. You should do Disney. You should. And I was like, oh, no. I just read kids' books. And so it really, when I did get laid off and I was, at that point, he was just like, dude, just do it. Just do it. And so that's awesome. That's kind of how it started. And I don't do any animation. Like none.
Well, do you do audiobooks at least?
No.
No.
I hate audiobooks.
I'm with you. I hate them too.
Oh my gosh. The only time I'll do it, and I'll give a plug to Learning Ally. The only time that I will do audiobooks is when I do it for free for Learning Ally. And then it's a joy to do. And that's, if you know of Learning Ally, it's a volunteer organization that works with kids who are learning challenged, could be visually challenged, could have, other learning disabilities. And so, it's a great organization, and I have done several books for them. And I love that. But otherwise, short stuff, commercials, corporate videos.
I'm right there with you. I couldn't sit still for that long.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
And I can imagine trying to maintain, like you're talking about reading a children's book to your kids, and I used to do the same thing. I can do that. But how am I going to get through so many chapters and remember which character was which voice? And I'd have to have notes, Lord. Sticky notes or something. I don't know. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, but you could do children's books.
Yeah, I could, and I may one day take a stab at that because I do enjoy that type of reading, or very short stories, but I'm not going to read a big nonfiction novel. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Because of your accent, actually, I have the accent to you probably. Because of your lovely Southern accent, there are probably great books on Learning Ally that are looking for a Southern accent, because they're very specific now. They've got so many voice actors that are willing to do work for them that they're very selective. And
yeah, I've heard of them a few times before. Actually, there's a gentleman as small as the area I live in. It's actually between up above Nashville, very small town, 10,000 less people. There are two audiobook guys here close by, and they're both very successful. And one of them does almost all Western novels. And he's got that deep, that rolling voice. And he had brought up, if you want to learn to do it, this is where you go to Learning Ally, and you can get on there and practice and do excerpts and short stuff. And so, yeah maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
So what ultimately then led you to taking the leap into becoming a founder of a software company and building Voice Overview? That doesn't seem like the sort of thing that most people would just go, I think I'm going to build an app.
No, it doesn't, does it? So my background is in marketing. So I had a background in marketing, and I had a background in technology. So I worked marketing for a couple of tech firms and in a couple of investment firms. And my husband is a finance guy doing 5-year plans and strategy and things like that for companies. And so because I had been in marketing and I had a really nice marketing salary before I got laid off, I really needed to know what I was going to make and whether or not I could make enough, eventually to make up for that salary. And so I had my husband build me this really lovely spreadsheet, and I could enter in just a few lines of information, and then it fed this beautiful dashboard with all these charts and information that told me what my business was doing. So it showed me what my audition to booking ratio was, how it was going down over time. It showed me my income, how it was going up over time, and I could just see all of the information that I needed to kind of give me that extra push. And so the voiceover community, as we all know, is so tight, and you really make friends quickly in I feel like a really genuine, lovely way. And I met some wonderful people, and I would say, well, my audition to booking ratio is blah, blah, blah. And they'd go, how do you know that? And I made $800 last month. That was a big month. I made $800 last month, and I made $1,000 this month. And how do you know what you made? And I was like, oh, well, here's this thing. My husband built it for me. And so I ended up chatting with a gal who I am forever grateful to. Her name is Rachel Fulgenetti, and she's a LA actor, voice actor. She does audiobooks, all of it. And she's extraordinary talent. I was chatting with her one day about that, and she said, you should build an app. This is the thing that people would die for. They would pay money for that. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And I have a friend, Joe Davis, who at the time we decided to build this together. So we became business partners. We started to build it together. We found our developers, and then I just kind of ran it. And after the initial development, I funded it. I did everything, and then I bought Joe out. So I bought him out a couple of years ago. And so that's kind of how it started. Cool. And we really operate, and you know this, Will, we operate on the principle of build it and then fix it. Build it and perfect it, but don't wait. Just keep going. And so when we launched 4 years ago almost, it'll be 4 years in June of 2017, it was when we launched. And we were bare bones. We had just very basic stuff, and we didn't have, I can't even think of all the things that we have now that we didn't have then. But, it was very basic. And we've just built and built and built, and our subscriber base has grown and grown and grown. And it's all by word of mouth. I don't advertise. People just find us.
I was recommended to it by my coach, Mike Cathcote, who we've had on, and some of our listeners have signed up with him, which is fantastic, and hopefully some will come and sign up at Voice Overview. For me, it's a useful tool, and it's interesting because I actually was setting out looking for a CRM, which it has a little bit, but isn't primarily, right? It's primarily keeping track of everything else about your business, how often you're auditioning, where you're auditioning, who you're doing jobs for, if you book a job, if you didn't book a job, if you've done the job but haven't invoiced for the job, and then keeping track month over month of, how much did I do this month versus last, or this month of this year versus this month of last year. All those super useful tools to really have a handle on your business. And the main reason that I used it initially was for the little bit of CRM use that's in there. You put in your contact, and you give them a tag that says that they're, a lead or a prospect or a client or whatever. And then you can set reminders to contact them. Well, really, that's all you need in terms of CRM for voiceover, right?
Yeah.
You need to keep track of who you've contacted and when, and make sure you contact them again.
Yep.
And you could do that with a spreadsheet, but this has so much more. And, the price is really reasonable.
Yeah, thank you.
It's $100 a year.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I've paid more than that for things that I throw away and never use again. And I've already gotten more use out of it during my trial period than lots of other stuff I've spent way more money on. So I think it's a fabulous tool. I think everybody should try it out, at least for the trial period, and see if it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that we say, people say, oh, it's a CRM, and we are a business tracking and management platform with a CRM component, and for some people, that just doesn't work. For some people, oh no, I want the full blown thing. And that's totally fine. The thing that I'm most attached to is that people find a tool that works for them. If Voice Overview is the tool, wonderful. If it's not, absolutely no big deal. But the thing for me, and I think the thing that's important for people to think about if you're starting a business, voiceover is a business. It's only a hobby if you don't track stuff. If you don't track it, it's a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so if you have, if you're talking about the coffee shop down the street or Amazon, they have all of their data and metrics. They know who their customers are. They know what their inventory is. They know, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. This is your way. Voice Overview gives you the ability to track that. So I know what my AR is. My husband does our finances. He can come to me and go, how much do we have in the pipeline? And I can go, oh, we've got this much in the pipeline. He knows exactly how much to expect. Now, when will we expect it? God only knows, because who knows when they'll pay. But we know it's coming, And then from a motivational perspective, I love seeing the numbers go up. There's a little revenue trend graph and chart, and I love watching that go up. When I book a job and it goes a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And then for me, because I've been using it for 7 years, I have all my data, so I can go back and I can look at all of my previous years and see how my income has fluctuated and changed and mostly gone up. Mm-hmm. So it's motivating.
Yeah, and that'll give you a good idea of like what normal slow times for you are and all kind of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've seen enough episodes of Restaurant Impossible to know that these are very important things to know. If you're serious about your business, somebody should be able to walk up to you, and hopefully nobody does because it'd be very odd, but somebody should be able to walk up to you and say, what was your expenses last month? How much did you bring in? What was your food cost? Yeah. What was your revenue?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Same idea. How many auditions did you do? How many new toys did you buy? What was your expenses? And how much money did you make? And how's this month looking so far? This gives you all the tools you need to be able to do that, to answer those questions. And those are questions that if you're serious about your business, you should be asking yourself, what did I spend last month versus what I made? How many times did I audition? A
lot of people probably are asking themselves that question and they can't answer it because they're not tracking it. I'll get on this site and here's what I booked over there and I'm over here. And the time you waste chasing it down later will definitely be offset by the entry up front. And like Dani is saying, to be able to pull that up and see it. Where am I going? Which way am I going? Where am I trending? I think it's great. I'm sold.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing, so it's designed to be, just keep it open all day, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
As you do an audition, tick the audition counter for that site up one. As you book a job, enter the job. When you deliver it, mark it delivered. All that stuff. So it's another tool you have to use, but it's not like you have to go out of your way, right? It's like if you were, I don't know, writing email all day, you'd have your email client open and got to write an email, start typing. So it is another thing to keep track of, but make it part of your routine and it's not extra. And the benefits that you get for that little bit of extra effort just in being organized and knowing what's going on and what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah.
Huge.
I have to say, there are a couple of fun anecdotes. One is a girlfriend of mine. She was one of our early adopters, and before we had the ability to actually set goals and stuff for your auditions, she didn't do it. And I'd talk with her, and she was at a different stage in her journey than I was, and she wasn't booking very much. She said, "How many auditions are you doing?" She goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm auditioning all the time." And I said, "Are you tracking them on there?" And she was like, "No, I'm not. I forget to do it." And I was like, "Look, okay, you really need to do it." So she started tracking. And then when I asked her again, "So how many auditions did you do last month?" She was like, "Well, I did 20. "Oh, you did 20. Okay. Well, you probably need to do 50 in order to book, or, whatever the number is, right? But you need to know. And once she started tracking and setting a goal, so I set a goal for 100 a month. And once she started setting her goals, she actually started booking because she was more diligent. Because when you're not booking and you're auditioning, 10 auditions feels like 100. You got to have something that keeps you on track. And then another kind of fun story is that somebody who was not using Voice Overview started using it. And once they started using it, they realized how much money they'd been leaving on the table. Like people that hadn't paid them, people that they forgot about invoicing. You know, you do a job and you forget about it. And especially if you get busy. If you are a very busy working voice actor, you can forget to invoice or forget to follow up because, you know, you got so much going on. This is a way to keep track of it. And I know for myself because I use it as a production log. So as soon as I book a job, I add it into Voice Overview. Every job that shows as booked, I know that I need to deliver. And if I haven't added it in, I will forget about it.
I did forget to bill somebody back in December, and fortunately, they called me out. Said, "Hey, you know, I just paid you for this, but I don't think I paid you for that last one. Could you check on that?" And I was like, "Well, that was nice that he said that." But yeah, it can happen. You're right. Even at a different level. I mean, if you're in the middle class VO thing, you're going to forget, and that's what that steno pad's for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, and the other thing too is, you know, like some pay to plays, if you're doing online stuff, right? Some online casting sites, you know, they kind of manage that whole transaction for you, so you know. But other ones don't. Right. You know, and once you pull those people off of those online casting sites and bring them over to your side.
Oh, we would never, ever do that.
No, never do that. Never. Once you bring them over to your side, so they're hiring you directly, then, you know, you want to be able to keep track of that.
Well, and even just to be sure that the information that's in that pay-to-play site or not pay-to-play site is accurate. Who knows?
All of it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
You know what you charged them. You know what the platform takes, so you can do the calculation of what your take on it is.
Yeah.
You should be able to keep track of that yourself and know that you're actually getting what you should be getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask this. This is kind of aside from the platform, just on voiceover talk. What is the majority of your work that you do now?
Majority of my work is commercial. So I'm on Pandora's roster, and so I do a lot of stuff on Pandora. And then I have a bunch of agents, and I have a bunch of really wonderful clients that just come back to me regularly.
Cool.
So most of it is commercial.
Cool.
Thank goodness, because I love that. It's so fast.
Radio and TV.
Radio and TV, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
I love that
too,
as much. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. I mean, I do like the corporate stuff when you get to be creative with it, you know, and there's a lot. A lot of them do like creativity versus just a straight corporate read. So I do like that as well. But I like it all. I mean, it's other than audiobooks, as we said. I really like it all. I mean, I have one great IVR client, you know, that is in my top 10 client list. You know, I've been doing stuff for them since 2014 or 2015. Yeah, that's another thing on Voice Overview, too, that I love, and that we started with just a top 10 client list. So your top 10 clients that you've done the most work for, that, you know, so your best clients. We used to just have that. Now we actually have it so you can see all of your clients from your most highest revenue client all the way down to somebody who, you know, paid you $5, you know, to do something for them or nothing. So I love that. You know, I can look at clients that, you know, started out doing $30 commercials for teeny tiny markets, and now one of them is in my top 6.
Wow, that is neat. That is neat.
It's really neat. Yeah, it's really neat. And I let him know that too, because he was one of my very first clients. And recently I emailed him and I said, "You know what? You just made it into my top 10." He was like, "Really? Wow." So that was fun. Yeah, we don't do $30 commercials anymore.
So compared to your previous marketing career, which one's been more fun?
Oh my gosh, there's just no comparison. None. I loved marketing. No, just kidding. No, there's no comparison. I love voiceover more than I can say. Like, I'm so excited to get in the booth. Even if I don't have any jobs and I'm just going to audition for the day. I love voiceover, and I love working for myself. I really do. I do. Yeah. And, it's now I'm at the point where I make more money than I ever made in marketing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's the goal of everybody that has a passion for it. We always give that advice on the podcast. If you're doing this because you got thrown into it and you don't really love it, you're going to have a tough time. You really got to have a passion for it. You got to love it. You got to want to get coached. You got to want to learn more and how to do better. But if you're just kicking the tires and, I'm doing this because of COVID, I'm trying it out, maybe it's not where you want to be. You want to be where your heart's at.
Yeah. I've heard a few people's demos. They'll send me their demo, and I don't do any coaching whatsoever, or consulting whatsoever, unless it's just like friend to friend, And I've heard a few people's demos where their demo is great, and then they'll send me a few auditions, and they're like, they're just phoning it in. I'm just going to talk about that thing, and I'm just phoning it in. It's like, no, you got to love it. You got to talk about that thing like you're so passionate about it, and
that almost sounds like they were coached through a demo, and that's when it stopped.
Indeed.
We run into that a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, and that's a big symptom of not having experience and maybe not a lot of skill, and then going and paying somebody to produce a demo for you, right? Your demo sounds great because anybody can be coached through a good demo.
Right.
If you can talk, you can be coached through a good demo, probably 90% of the time.
And edited.
Yes, with enough takes and some editing, yeah.
But if you can't reproduce that performance or the edit, you're false advertising, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing too, I talk to people, and, you spend a lot of money on coaching, a lot of money. And you can spend a lot of money on bad coaches, and you can spend a lot of money on good coaches.
Right.
I've spent a lot of money on good coaches. And if I look at Voice Overview and I look at my total spend, I think I've spent in the $30,000 range for coaching over 7 years.
And that's not surprising.
It's not surprising.
You're investing in your career, and that's, we encourage people every week just about, and for people starting out, first thing we're telling them is find a quiet place, get a quiet room, fix that room first, quit worrying about the $1,000 mic.
Yeah.
Get a
oh my
quiet
gosh.
spot.
Yes. Yeah.
And then go get a coach.
And then get a coach and get started. And when you have something you can produce yourself and get out there and work with it, then go to work. But so many people want in the first week, they want to put a bedspread over their head with a $1,000 microphone and do this. And you can't.
Yeah,
you just can't.
No. No, you can't. You can't.
You don't need a fortune up front, but you better start with your space. When we say it every week, start with your space.
Yeah.
And you look like you're probably in a whisper room, maybe?
I'm not. I'm in a vocal booth made out of Medford, Oregon. I think Medford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe Bend, but anyway, Oregon.
It didn't look like a whisper room when you opened the door. The door looked different. So,
yeah.
Like a regular door almost.
Yeah, it's
like a real door.
heavy. It's like a sound door.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I first started out in a closet. I started out in a closet that was a slightly deeper closet, so it was about this wide. And I did work in there for my first year, and I did directed sessions and all sorts of stuff, and people never knew.
Sure.
They never knew because the sound was good,
Right.
And I was training, and I had so my mic now is a more expensive mic, but back then I had a $215 mic, I think, and a little Scarlett 2i2, and it was just what I needed. And I did national stuff. I did stuff for Amazon. I did all sorts of cool stuff that nobody knew.
Awesome.
What I was working from. But I was spending the majority of my money on coaching.
That's good advice. we've kind of been beating the drum on that for a few weeks. And we tell folks when they start out, if you're starting to make a little bit of money, reinvest that money in coaching.
Absolutely.
If your sound is good and your room's good, invest in coaching. And they may not can go get the best one, just don't get a bad one.
Yeah.
Don't learn bad habits.
I was hard-headed a little bit about coaching initially because everybody gets that recommendation. Go get yourself a coach. It's the first thing you need to do. Find a coach. And I'm going, no, I don't. I went to school for broadcast. I know what I'm doing. And I put together an okay demo and was able to start getting work. But once I actually got coached a little bit, things started to turn around and got better. I'm in a slow period right now. So what am I doing? I'm getting more coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And go out and listen. That's another thing that I tell people all the time is like, go out to Atlas, go out to A3, go out to CESD, go out to these big bi-coastal agencies and listen to the talent. So if you're a woman, go and listen to the female commercial talent. If you're a man, go and listen to the male commercial talent. You can listen to the other side too, but like really listen to what's out there and who these extraordinary talent are. That's where you'll learn so much as well. I mean, and I go and listen to these guys because I'm like, wow, like that's who I'm up against when I'm getting a audition.
It makes you feel good when you win it too.
It does make you feel good when you win it. Yeah, and it makes you feel a little less bad when you don't.
Right,
you're
true.
Like, wow.
Well, at least I lost to that because, wow.
I know last month I had a coaching session, and that one of the recommendations was, and just picking a platform to say voices, go to the top 100, pick 5 people that you really like, and download their demos and listen to them 5 times a day for 2 days. And then for 2 more days, read along with them. And you're not trying to emulate them or be them, but you're learning what these top producers are doing. And by the end of the week, you should be able to do those reads on your own and not mimic them, but feel how they're doing it. Listen to how they're phrasing it. What words are they emphasizing? And when I was first told that, I thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want to mock somebody. But when I started doing it this week, it works. It really does, because I'm hearing things. And Will and I we go to some of the workshops where there's 6 people in there, and you'll learn as much watching them get coached as you will yourself. I mean, it's amazing what you can learn very quickly.
That's a great option if you can't justify, but more realistically, if you can't afford one-on-one coaching, go find a group session, because you're going to pay a fraction of the price. You're going to get about as much out of it, maybe more, because you're going to see how other people are doing it and hear what's told to them, right? And you're not going to get that.
Hey, can I plug one? Can I plug something?
Sure.
You guys are
Sure.
We'll edit it out if it's no
so
good.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So there is a workout called the VO Weekly Workout, voweeklyworkout.com. And it's run by some guys in LA. And it is a great resource. So what it is you pay $10, and you just pay $10 anytime that you want to work out during that week. And you'll get the script, and or a bunch of scripts, and it'll be for an agent or a casting director, sometimes a coach, but always somebody that's a high level hirer or agent. And they will provide you feedback, and it's feedback on your performance, feedback on your audio quality, and feedback on one other thing, I can't remember which, but it's all there. And not only do you get feedback for yourself, but you can listen to every single person and see their feedback. So, if 10 of you did one script, you can listen to all of the 10 people that did that script and how they did it, and what the coach or the director or whatever person it was that week, provided. And it's so helpful. And I've actually gotten a great agent from that. So
sounds fantastic. We're going to have to look and see if they're still going, though, because their website is not working.
Is it not working right now? voweeklyworkout.com?
Yeah. And I searched it too, and that looks like the right link. but it's coming up with like this domain isn't connected to a website.
Let me check in with Tim because I know the guys.
Yeah, maybe they don't even know that their website's down.
They might not know. Yeah. So I'll check it out because I have heard that it's going on still and they were just getting ready to get ramped back up. So I'll find out from that and I'll email you tomorrow and let you know.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic resource. Anything else you want to say about VoiceOverView or? VoiceOverView,
it's $9.99 a month, $96 a year. We don't ever have plans to change that. So as we build, as we add more resources to it, features, we don't ever plan to change it because we know everybody wants a little piece of ya.
So if I want to get it, where do I get it at? How do I go find it?
Oh, hey, how about that? Yeah, it's voiceoverview.com. And up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see Create Account. You can create an account. You get a 30-day free trial. And before your trial is up, you'll get an email that says, hey, your trial's almost up. If you want to cancel, you can cancel. We are very upfront and transparent about all of it. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Love to have you give it a try.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Will, for inviting Dani. I've really enjoyed this, not only hearing about the program, but also hearing about your voiceover career. All that's been interesting. We even got coaching tips in there. We got a little everything today. So it was really good. Really good. So, oh gosh, we're just tickled, as we say here in Tennessee. We were tickled you were here. I don't know what they say in Minnesota. Pickled, probably. I don't know.
Well, in Minnesota, it would take us another 3 or 4 days to say goodbye. So we'll just cut it right there.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dani.
Thanks, guys.
Will, I'll see you next time on the VoiceOver Ladder.
Yes, sir.
The VoiceOver Ladder is available on Spotify, Apple, and Google. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss an episode, because we may drop one at any moment. Do we know what we're doing? Not really. But we are learning and making progress, one rung at a time, as we all climb the VO ladder.